Hello, sweetheart. It's Rose. My neighbor Cheryl called me in a panic so urgent it felt like a punch to the chest. Come back immediately, she cried. Your son is taking all the furniture. I was standing in the canned soup aisle of our local grocery, staring down a sale on lentils, of all things. I thought I'd misheard her. Surely she meant fixing the furniture or moving it, maybe rearranging. But she didn't. Her voice cracked. Rose, he's loading it into a moving van. All of it. My hands went numb. I dropped the lentils. I nearly left the cart there in the middle of the aisle. Instead, I walked to the cashier with jelly legs and checked out with nothing but a bottle of dish soap and a blank stare. I don't even remember driving home. The street blurred, the houses too familiar to notice. What I saw when I pulled into the driveway will stay with me until the end of my days. The front door was wide open. The living room, the room I had painted twice and furnished with care after the divorce, was almost empty. The couch was gone, the side tables, the lamp my mother gave me the year before she died. And there, standing like a thief in the daylight, was my son, Micah. He was dragging my favorite reading chair, the one with the crocheted blanket still draped over the back, out the door. He didn't see me at first. He was grunting, focused, determined in that dull, automatic way that told me this wasn't some wild impulse. This had been planned. This was execution. My hands shook on the steering wheel. I didn't get out right away. I watched him. Watched my son remove pieces of my life like they were props from a closed-down stage play. Then he looked up. He froze, the chair half lifted, the throw blanket slipping to the ground like a surrender flag. His mouth opened slightly, but he didn't speak. Neither did I. I just stepped out of the car and walked toward my own house like a stranger on someone else's lawn. There were other people there. Two men I didn't recognize. Hired movers, I suppose, were lifting the hutch from the dining room. I saw them pause, unsure whether to keep going. Stop, I said. My voice didn't rise. It was flat, controlled, but cold enough to chill the summer air. They stopped. Micah, I said next, turning to my son, you have 30 seconds to explain what the hell is happening. His mouth opened, closed. He looked embarrassed. No, ashamed. But not enough. Mom, he started, I didn't think you'd be home yet. I thought I had time. To rob me? I interrupted. No, it's not like that. I thought we agreed that after Dad passed and you retired, you were going to come live closer to me. We talked about downsizing. I said we'd talk about it, and I asked for time. You've had time, he said, and the way he said it made my stomach turn, like he was the one giving me some kind of grace. You're not using most of this, it's just stuff. Just stuff. The words hit like slaps. The dining table I spent my first married Christmas polishing. The photo frames still hanging on the wall, still full of family memories, waiting their turn. The couch where I sat with my husband on quiet Sunday mornings. The blue armchair where I held Micah as a baby, rocking him through the colic and the fevers and the nightmares. Where are you taking it all? I asked, my voice quieter now. He hesitated. Then he said, the lake house. I blinked. What lake house? There was a beat of silence, a shift in the air, something cold uncoiled inside me. I didn't want to tell you yet, not until it was finalized, he said. But Rachel and I, we bought a place near the lake, big enough for the kids. We figured we could save money by furnishing it ourselves. I stared at him. You mean furnish it with my things? It's not like that, he said again, as if repetition made it true. You said you were going to move into the condo near town. I thought... No, I said, you assumed. His eyes narrowed a little, defensiveness creeping in. You said you didn't want the big house anymore, that it was too much. I had said that. Once. In passing. On a rainy Tuesday when my hip hurt and the roof had sprung a leak. But this wasn't helping. This was looting. I took a breath, walked past him, and into the living room. It looked ransacked, hollow. I could feel the echo of my life bouncing off the bare walls. There was a folded packing list on the table. Dining set, bedroom dresser, jewelry chest, my God, even the piano. My God, even the... I want every piece returned, I said without turning around. Now. Micah sighed like a man dealing with an unreasonable customer. Mom, now? He opened his mouth, but before he could say another word, I heard Cheryl's voice at the door. Rose? She called, her voice anxious. I'm so sorry, I didn't know what else to do. I didn't want to call the police. Police? Micah repeated sharply. You should have, I said, turning to him at last. You're trespassing. The color drained from his face. You don't mean that. I do, I said, and I meant every word. I'd spent the last few years telling myself that boundaries were for other people, that being a good mother meant being flexible, forgiving, generous. But this wasn't generosity. This was theft. My son had come into my home while I was gone and started carving it apart piece by piece. And now he was looking at me like I was the one being unreasonable. He didn't know me at all. He was about to learn. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not because of rage, not exactly, but because of something deeper, something heavier. Betrayal. I lay in bed in the nearly empty house, the silence pressing against my chest like a weight. I kept staring at the corners where my life used to live, the space where the grandfather clock had stood since my 30th wedding anniversary, the wall where Micah's childhood drawings once hung, framed in cheap gold. Gone. All of it. Not sold or lost, taken. By him. I couldn't stop hearing his voice. It's just stuff. But it wasn't just anything, it was memory. It was safety. It was mine. Micah came back around 9 that night. He texted first. Can we talk? And I didn't answer. He knocked. I still didn't. But after the third knock, I opened the door and stepped out onto the porch. I didn't invite him in. He looked tired, rumpled, sheepish. Mom, he began, I didn't mean to upset you. I folded my arms. I thought I was helping. You thought robbing your mother in broad daylight was helping? His jaw clenched. Don't say it like that. How should I say it, Micah? That you took advantage of my trust? That you stripped my home like it was a yard sale you were owed? That you lied to me? I didn't lie. You hid the lake house. You hired movers while I was out. You changed the locks on my bedroom door 2 weeks ago and said it was for my security. That's not just a lie, Micah. That's a pattern. He didn't respond. He couldn't. Because it was true. I stepped down from the porch. The air was sharp with the smell of autumn mulch, that earthy decay I usually found comforting. Not tonight. Tonight it smelled like rot. I want to ask you something, I said. And I want the truth. The real truth. He shifted on his feet. Okay. Whose idea was it? The furniture, the movers, taking what didn't belong to you. There was a long pause. Too long. Finally, he said, Rachel thought it would make things easier. She said it was wasteful for it all to sit here when it could be used. I nodded, slowly. So she sent you here to take it? No, I came. Micah, please. He looked away down the street where the shadows stretched long. Then he whispered, She made a list. Of course she did. Rachel always made lists. I should have said no, he added quickly. But I thought, maybe it really was easier this way. Easier for who? He didn't answer that, but we both knew. Rachel, the woman who never once asked if I needed help with the house, who rarely invited me to birthdays but always expected checks for the kids' tuition. The woman who, I realize now, had long since decided I was ready to be filed away. Retired, relocated, repurposed. And Micah, my own son, had followed her lead. You don't even see it, do you? And I said, staring at him. See what? That you're treating me like a problem to be managed, not a mother, a task, a piece of furniture yourself. He flinched, a small, guilty twitch. That's not fair. No. What's not fair is that I raised you to know better. He looked away again, blinking hard. I'm sorry, he muttered. No, I said, my voice firm. You're not. You're uncomfortable. There's a difference. The silence between us stretched. Then he tried a different tactic. The old charm. Mom, you always said the things in that house were for family, that they should be used, not just sit there. And I am family. I laughed, but it wasn't a kind sound. You're right. You are family. But so was your father, and he would never have done this. That hit. I saw it. My husband, David, had been dead 4 years, but his presence still lived in every corner of that house. Or it had before Micah began removing it piece by piece. David would never have let that happen. He would have seen the way Rachel isolated me. He would have called it what it was, manipulation dressed as planning. I turned to go inside. I'll bring it back, Micah said quickly. Everything. I'll call the movers. We'll reverse it. Just please don't shut me out. I paused in the doorway. I'm not shutting you out, I said. I'm finally letting myself in. He didn't understand. Not yet. But he would. The next morning, I made a call. Then I made several more. I started with a lawyer, a sharp, precise woman named Carmen that Margaret down the block had used during her estate battle. Then I called the bank. Then the insurance company. By noon, I had changed my will. By 2, I had revoked the power of attorney Micah had quietly gotten me to sign last year, and the one I thought was for emergencies only. By 3, I had frozen the shared account they used to pay for their kids' ballet lessons and meal kit subscriptions. And by dinner, I was sitting in the one remaining chair in the living room, watching the firelight dance in the hearth and thinking, for the first time in months, that I had finally stopped being a guest in my own life. Micah didn't come by that night, but Rachel did. And what she said will stay with me forever. She arrived like a storm wearing pearls. It was nearly 9 p.m. when I heard the sharp knock on the door. Not frantic, not desperate, just firm, practiced. Rachel's knock. I opened it slowly, already bracing myself, and there she was. Perfect as always. Cream blouse, straight posture, a wool coat draped elegantly over her shoulders like some kind of queen. Her face didn't show panic, it showed calculation. She wasn't here to apologize, she was here to fix things, her way. Rose, she said. Not Mom, not Mrs. Davis. Just Rose. That was new. I stepped aside without speaking. Let her in. She walked past me like she owned the place. The same woman who hadn't invited me to her last 2 holiday dinners was now standing in my living room, scanning the bare walls like an auditor doing damage assessment. She turned to me. I think there's been a misunderstanding, she began, all warmth and gloss. I don't think there has. Her smile tightened. Micah said you were upset. I am. Well, then I'm glad I came. I sat down. She didn't. She stood in front of the fireplace like she wanted to command the room, but the house was too quiet. Her voice echoed a little. I know this has been hard, she continued, adopting that sickly sweet tone she used with waiters and teachers she didn't think mattered. All the changes, retirement, David's passing, the size of the house. It's overwhelming, I'm sure. I told Micah he should have handled it more delicately. He's always been impulsive. There it was, the gentle turning of the knife. Blame Micah, protect Rachel. Always the diplomat, when it suited her. What is it you want, Rachel? I asked. I want peace, she said quickly. And I want to make sure there are no lingering misunderstandings. About what? She hesitated. Just a blink, but I saw it. About your future, she said. About your role in our lives. You're not alone, Rose. You have family. You have us. Do I? I asked softly. Because yesterday, I had furniture. Her face flickered again, a crack in the mask. It was a mistake. It was a plan. A long silence stretched between us. I could hear the wind outside now, brushing against the old shutters. I'm sorry if you felt... Stop, I said, my voice low. Don't say you're sorry if I felt something. Say you're sorry for what you did. Rachel blinked. I came here in good faith. No, you came here in control. You're used to being the one who decides what happens next. Well, not in this house, not anymore. She tilted her head. You're acting emotional. I laughed. You're damn right I'm emotional. and sharp and clear and done being polite. That did it. The warmth vanished from her face like a candle blown out. She took a step closer. We've always supported you. You mean used me? You used my money, my space, my silence. Her eyes narrowed. You're being cruel. I stood now, slow and deliberate. And you're being removed. Her brow arched. What does that mean? It means, I said, walking to the mantel and pulling out a small folder I had tucked behind the clock. I spoke to my attorney. As of this afternoon, all financial access tied to my accounts has been revoked. Your children's school tuition, cut off, grocery reimbursements, done. That car you drive, the one registered under my name, consider it a rental, overdue and returned. Rachel's mouth opened. No words came. And just for clarity, I added, I've removed Micah as beneficiary. Everything now goes to my granddaughter Lily's college fund directly. And should you or Micah attempt a contest, I've recorded every transaction, every unauthorized charge, every shady little favor dressed up as convenience. You wouldn't dare. I already did. Rachel's mouth snapped shut. I stepped closer, my voice lowering to a razor's whisper. I was a wife for 40 years, a mother for 35. And for the past decade, I have been your doormat. No more. She stared at me. Not in anger, not even in fear, in disbelief. Because women like me, quiet, generous, dependable, weren't supposed to stand up. We were supposed to fade. We were supposed to hand over the keys. Not this time. Go home, Rachel, I said. Tell Micah the well has run dry. You'll regret this, she spat, all civility gone. No, I said, calm and steady. You will. She left without another word, her heels clicking like gunshots across the hardwood. The door slammed, and the silence that followed felt like music. I stood in the quiet house, trembling just slightly. Not from fear, from release, from something long-caged finally stepping out into the open. My phone buzzed 10 minutes later. A single message from Micah. She told me, please tell me this isn't permanent. I stared at it. I didn't reply, because something was permanent now. Me, in my own life. And Micah? He was about to learn what it meant to stand on his own 2 feet. For the first time in years. The next morning, I sat at my kitchen table with a cup of tea and no need to rush anywhere. No obligations. No errands disguised as guilt trips. Just the hum of the fridge, the soft light through the curtains, and my own company. Finally enough. There were messages waiting on my phone. 4 from Micah, 2 from Rachel, 1 from an unknown number, likely the school asking about tuition. I didn't open a single one. Instead, I opened a new bank account, one just for me. I ordered new checks. I set up auto pay for my bills. No one else's. I didn't feel petty. I felt clean. I felt like I was brushing off years of dust and calling it what it was, burden. That afternoon, I took a walk through the house. This quiet, echoing place that had once felt too large and too lonely. It didn't feel that way anymore. It felt full of me. My memories, yes, my scars, but also my strength. I went into the guest bedroom, the one Micah had started packing up last week without asking. I opened the closet and pulled out a quilt I hadn't touched in years, the one David and I bought in Vermont on our anniversary trip. I ran my hands over the fabric. I remembered that trip. I remembered him. Not the man who got sick at the end, but the one who knew how to make me laugh until I snorted in diners. Who held my hand under the table at church. Who would have told Micah to back the hell off? I sat on the edge of the bed and let the memories wash over me, not with sadness, but with something gentler. Acceptance. Later that evening, I heard a car pull into the driveway, then footsteps. Slower this time. No stomping, no entitlement. Micah. I opened the door before he could knock. He stood there, shoulders hunched, eyes red-rimmed. Mom, he said, can I come in? Not tonight, I said gently. He blinked. I just want to talk. We'll talk, I nodded. But not until you understand that I am not here to save you. Not anymore. He looked down. I get it now. I do. I don't know how to fix it. You start, I said, by letting go of the idea that you're owed anything. We stood in silence. I miss you, he whispered. I'm still here, I said. But you have to meet me where I live now, not where you left me. He nodded, slowly. A man waking up after years of sleepwalking. I'll try. That's all I ever wanted. I kissed his cheek and closed the door. And I didn't cry. Instead, I poured myself a small glass of wine, turned on a jazz record David used to love, and stood at the window watching the last light of day turn golden over my rose bushes. They hadn't bloomed well this year. Too much shade from the overgrown hedge. But next spring, I'd prune them back myself. I'd get my hands dirty. I'd make space for light. That was the lesson, wasn't it? You don't bloom in darkness, no matter how familiar it feels. That night, I slept with the bedroom door open, the house breathing around me like an old friend. I didn't dream of Micah. I didn't dream of Rachel. I dreamed of a little white house by the coast I'd seen once in a postcard. A place of my own. And in the dream, I was laughing. The next morning, I donated the last box of things Micah hadn't taken. Picture frames with no photos, souvenirs from vacations I didn't enjoy. I kept the books. I kept the quilt. I kept the teacup with the crack in the side, and because it still held warmth. So do I. If you're reading this, darling, and any part of it feels familiar, know this. You're not too old to begin again. You're not too late to come home to yourself. You are not furniture. You are not a favor. You are not a forgotten file in someone else's life. You are a person. You are a woman. You are enough. And you don't need permission to reclaim your space. The door is open now. All you have to do is walk through it.